I was a fairly successful businessman before I ever got into this line of work. Didn't need to do this. I was a little surprised when I really felt the call to leave the corporate world, to leave the, a business partnership and go do this, and commit my life, my business practice, to wading into very difficult social issues. There are two things that I think that you asked why this was of interest to me. Number one was my issue with pornography. I recognized what it was like to deal with sexual slavery, to be a slave to a sexual urge. And I've always seen from the very outset, I recognized essentially, if you will, a brotherhood relationship with those involved in homosexuality, because I saw that as being a slave to a sexual urge. And there are those who I know who have come out of homosexuality who have changed. And I believe that change is possible because I've seen it firsthand with my own eyes, and the experience of people that I know and love very deeply have come out of that. They describe it in the same way as I've described my issue with pornography, as an issue of slavery, as an issue of being completely held by something and not knowing if I could ever deal with it properly. So that's one thing. And I think the second thing had to do with a letter I wrote to my brother. And I spouted off about what I thought I knew about homosexuality. And I had essentially stated just my belief that those involved in homosexuality had forgotten God. And that was a very early idea that I had about what homosexuality was about. And I got a letter in return from him. It was a lengthy letter. I think it was 5 or 6 pages. The first 3 pages were blank. And he explained in the rest of the letter that the first 3 pages were blank because that was his anger that he wouldn't express on paper about what I felt about homosexuality. Now, I don't know what informed my brother's opinion. I just know that it was very strong in reaction. He was the impetus for me to say, all right, if I'm getting that strong a reaction from someone I love, my brother, my own flesh and blood, and I'm that misunderstood, then I've got a lot of studying to do. I want to understand that what I believe to be true is actually true, or that I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll apologize to my brother. Everything that I've been able to read, and I've read on both sides of this issue. I've read homosexual authors, philosophers, activists, as well as those in the Christian arena, in the conservative arena, and I still believe that my understanding of this is true, and so I would never take back what I told my brother, and I'm not asking him for an apology. I'm just saying I'm sorry I was misunderstood, because what I said when I said it, I was popping off. I've spent literally the second half of my career trying to communicate the truths that I've learned about this. It's not been easy. Like I've said, I've had not a lot, but at a point in my career, when I had very young children, I was listed as a public enemy, and it was essentially perceived as a death threat because there were others who were being threatened. And so, that even drove me further to want to know what motivates that. Why is there such a hostile reaction to someone saying that this is what it is? And so I have really made a commitment to spending as much time as I can, even independent of ever having clients that would pay me to help communicate that. This is something that I read regardless of whether I have a client that's dealing with that issue or hiring us to work on that issue or not. And so it kind of has become a personal crusade for me. It's a part of my own personal ministry.